Oftentimes, if it doesn't go our way, we don't see it as a blessing. If something happens, an experience, if it doesn't go the way we want it to go, oftentimes we don't consider that to be a blessing. But some of the greatest blessings in our lives are things that didn't turn out or work out the way that we wanted it to.
If you want to be exceptional, and I will say this again, then it means you will be an exception. The majority of people will not behave the way you are. They will say, why are you acting so weird? Why are you behaving this way? This isn't normal. What's going on? They're gonna ask you these questions because they want you to get back in line. But back in line leads down the road, and you know where that road ends, and you know that's not where you wanna be.
Most people will not understand your obsession, your drive, and your determination. Success is a lonely journey. That's just a reality. And most people are not gonna understand why you're so driven, why you're so obsessed. And if you try and make them understand, you're gonna end up frustrated.
I believe that you're the co-author of your life. You and God co-author all of the chapters of your life. And at any given time, you can grab a pen, a new pen, and just decide you're gonna design a new chapter of your life and a new difference in your life, a new direction in your life.
And so if we can put our perspective and our perception in such a place that when it doesn't go our way, because we know what to do when it goes our way, but when it doesn't go our way, not only what is the lesson in it, like what's the blessing in it? Right? Some of the greatest blessings are things that don't work out or didn't go as planned.
There's no luck in this game, man. It may be a little bit of luck, but the luck happens after you bust your ass and you put yourself in that lucky situation. Luck doesn't happen. You put yourself in that situation where luck might fucking happen. And that's what people don't know. But to get there, luck ain't gonna happen. You have to put yourself in that situation, man.
Go on the journey by yourself. It is the best journey, man. Leveling up, making more money, losing weight, getting fit, becoming the best version of yourself is the fucking most awesomest journey you will ever go on. But it's a journey that you will probably go on by yourself. Most people will not understand the level of obsession required. They will not understand the level of drive and determination that it takes for you to become that person.
But when's the last time you actually asked yourself, what do I want my life to look like? And am I truly one of the designers of that life? Do I have any input, any control over it? I believe God gives you free choice and free will in your life. You do have free will. You do have choice. You do have input.
Everybody has a turn back moment. You have a moment where you could go forward or you can give up. But the thing you have to keep in mind before you give up is that if you give up, the guarantee is it will never happen. That's the guarantee of quitting. That it will never happen, no way under the sun. The only way the possibility remains that it can happen is if you never give up, no matter what.
I think you either have to have a really big carrot, which everyone talks about, like finding your passion, whatever. And like, I actually am pretty against it. I think that most people who are like in the beginning of the game, like you don't have a passion yet. Most of you, like most people are like, man, I just love this one thing. But everybody has shitloads of pain. Like that, like a lot of people like can't find passion. It's like, can you find pain? And they're like, yep, I got lots of that. I got anger, I got shame, I got pain, whatever it is. I'm like, cool. Well, the first rule of entrepreneurship is use what you got. And so like, if that's what you got, then burn that.
Yeah.
Like you don't need to necessarily find this passion, like this beautiful carrot, because that, to me, that's not what got me going. For me, I think it was like away from fear, which is like, I knew like in my bones that I would rather die than go back home with like fail.
Do what you do, right? Stop worrying about what everybody else is doing. Stop looking at what everybody else is doing and stay focused on what it is that you feel God has called you to do specifically. That's your greatness. That's where your power is. And I told a cat one day, I said, man, stop rushing based upon social media. I said, the part you forget, nobody showed you the failures. Nobody showed you the shortcomings. People very rarely show you the adversity and the opposition. And so do what you do, right? Approach it how you approach it. That's what God will bless you upon. It's not you doing it in a way that somebody else does it. No, he placed greatness in you. Do it how you do it, in a way that only you can do it, so God can bless it.
So how do you want to live? Who and what do you want around you? Begin to ask yourself this. You find me a human being who may not be where they want to be, but they feel like they're making progress in getting there. I'll show you somebody pretty happy. This pursuit, this idea of progress, of growth in our life is such a requirement to peace and happiness and bliss. So yes, be in the present, but you better be making progress towards something, and you got to be growing and changing.
There is nothing that's impossible for you. It's all meant for you. Every day I wake up, I'm one day closer to death. So what you gonna do with the time you got left? It's like, understand that this is our time right now. The moment is now. These moments, we only have the moment. So a lot of us live in the future and a lot of us live in the past. And that's something that we have to get out of the habit of. And I think when you accept where you are, you're kind of letting go of that and making an action plan to putting your attention on your intention. And you, of course, you have an idea of where you would like to be, but God doesn't always give us what we want. God gives us what we need. And sometimes those are the same thing and sometimes they're not.
I believe that everything happens for a reason. People change so that you can learn to let go. Things go wrong so that you can learn to appreciate them when they're right. And sometimes good things fall apart so better things can fall together.
The fastest way to losing yourself is to try and make everyone else happy. The best thing you can do is be a true north. Be you. Shine your light. Know what your core values are. Know what your belief system is. Know what your morals and your character should be. And live by that.
It's much harder. It takes much longer than what people expect, and for that reason a lot of people quit before it actually starts to happen for them. The difference between what it actually takes and what you think it takes for most people is almost polar opposites. So you have to reframe your expectations into how hard it's going to be, and you have to focus on building yourself into someone who can accomplish that mission.
I think most people have had dreams and goals in their life, and they've had, obviously, as all of us have, plenty of disappointments. But if the person that persists and keeps going can eventually break through, like all the studies show that pessimists are much more accurate about their performance than optimists, much more accurate. But optimists are much more successful because they overvalue, they think they did better than they did, so they're willing to try it again.
Right.
They believe it'll happen. And that persistence is what makes things work.
The most successful people live urgently. The most successful people are impatient. The most successful people have high expectations of themselves and of the people around them. The most successful people seem unrealistic and unreasonable in their expectations, and the most successful people are competitive.
And I just think sometimes we think we have forever to get around to designing our life to be the one that we want, or we have forever to change things. But what if you don't have forever?
Reminder that if you want to be exceptional, you're going to be different from everyone else. That's what makes you exceptional. You can't fit in and also be exceptional. Both have discomfort. When you fit in, you have internal conflict because you're not being 100% you. When you're exceptional, you have external conflict because everyone sees you as different. Pick one. When your friends start to say, "You've changed," remember it's because they don't know how to say, "You've grown."
So I think the thing that stops people, whether it's in their relationship or whether it's their business or their career or their body, is the disappointments of the past. And so what really shows up is fear. The fear of failure, the fear of success, the fear of rejection, the fear of the unknown. There's so many fears, but they all come down to two fears that everybody has. We're all afraid we're not enough in some context. Not rich enough, smart enough, young enough, old enough, wise enough, funny enough, whatever it is, attractive enough. And so I look at most people, and most people have so much fear still because of so many disappointments that they're afraid to get their hopes up.
Be committed. If you are committed, then you are more likely to win. If you're just involved in something, there's a chance, a high probability that you'll fail. You want to be fully committed. You want to go to battle with everything. Like when I go to the gym, I'm like, all right, man, next 45 minutes, you're going to battle with your body. You're going to battle with the inner bitch. You're going to battle with time, right? Time is trying to erode my muscles. I go to battle against the inner bitch, the conversation in my head. I go to battle against the weights. I go to battle against everything.
The path of the exceptional person is one of an exception, which means that you are not with other people. And rather than fighting that or bemoaning it, see it as an indicator that you're on the right path. Because if everyone else were cheering you on, then it means you're not in the right place, because it means you're just like everyone else, and that's not where you want to be.
I think you have to work every single day. I think that's where your confidence comes from. Because when nobody's looking, that's the time that really counts. That's the time that really matters.
I believe the strongest force in anybody's personality, in the human personality, is the need to stay consistent with how you've defined yourself. We all have an identity for ourselves. If you don't know who you are, you can't make a decision.
I've never seen anyone not be able to progress if they made the task small enough. But, that can be pretty humiliating. Now, the upside is that once you take that first step you've looked the beast in the face, and you'll start progressing, not linearly, but exponentially in speed. So what's cool is that it doesn't really matter how small that first step is, because it'll start doubling. And anything that doubles grows unbelievably quickly. And so that's a very useful thing to know too. And that's true when you're learning anything new. It's like you'll feel like an imposter, you'll feel like a fool because you are, and you'll think, I'll never get there, and it might, the destination might look very distant, but if you take a sufficiently small first step and get the ball rolling, you can be cruising along at a pretty good rate.
You know, you got to take ownership of what's going on in your life. When you're not where you want to be, and you say it's because the boss doesn't like you, or it's because the girl treated you this way, or the guy did this, like all those things, you got to take ownership of.
Yeah.
And if you're blaming all these other external things, you're not going to make any changes. And that's going to be a problem.
The greatest version of you demands that you are extreme. I can tell you this, that every great person I know has this extreme personality, this intense, passionate desire to cut out negativity, to constantly lean into the sides of their comfort zone, to keep the promises to themselves, even when you don't feel like doing things, by the way.
And so if someone says, you're not like everyone else, then you can just reframe that as like, I am exceptional.
Just think positive thoughts, be optimistic. There is no room for failure. There is no room for doubts and stuff like this. The difference, I guess, between the guys who are able to be biggest champions and the ones that are struggling to get to the highest level is the ability to not stay in those emotions for too long.
The biggest risk to your future isn't your competition. It's the distractions you insist on keeping in your life rather than doing the things you know you should be doing but aren't. People delay doing things they don't like for longer than it takes to do them.
I struggled my whole life, but I ran from it. So I started realizing, man, I gotta start facing the struggle, and I gotta be mentally strong for the struggle. So that's why I started coming up with like, I'm training for life. Mentally, I'm training for life. I'm not training for like, to lift 400 pounds. And I found out on my own pretty much, is that through this, through discipline, through self-discipline, through repetition, through tons of repetition of the same thing that you don't want to do, and that's the key thing. Through repetition of things you don't want to do, you develop mental, like an armor for your mind.
And as I've said since day one, it's motivation is a feeling that comes and goes, and it doesn't matter whether it's there or not. Discipline is infinitely more important. So no matter how you feel, get up and do what you're supposed to do. That's it. And that's discipline. It's not motivation. If you only did what you were supposed to do when you were motivated to do it, that's leaving it to chance. But if you're disciplined, you go do what you're supposed to do. That's the way it works.
Life is a crazy roller coaster, especially this life, you know, so we've ups, we've downs, but I find I'm at my best when I set out, when I say and when I must do something and I know I must do it, and I do it, I execute it.
When you come out of the storm, you won't be the same person that walked into it. That's what the storm is all about. When you can't control what's happening to you, control how you respond to it. That's where your power is.
You get better incrementally, right? Everybody's standard of excellence is different. Right? The most important thing is that you become the best version of yourself. Okay. That is the key. You know, get better every single day. Are you better today than you were yesterday? If the answer is yes, then you're on the right track. You know, that's Mamba mentality. Get better every single day.
It's going to be harder than you think to get to the next level. You're going to have to be more mentally tough than you realize. The people that win in life, they outwork everybody, but they are mentally tougher. And they're mentally tougher because they build a cocoon around themselves of the right triggers when things happen, that I'm built for this. Someone said this to me, they dismissed me, I'm gonna prove them wrong. Someone was this way and mistreated me, they're gonna regret that someday when I go win.
You're doing this for you. And this is something I've only realized relatively recently, but after a certain level of material comfort, the only person that you need to do this thing for is you. Your conscience knows when you're being honest and when you're not. I think optimizing to make that person happy, that conscience happy, is a really good idea.
Here's the uncomfortable truth, which is that winners focus on winning, losers focus on winners, and you never receive hate from above, always below, because winners have their eyes on the goal, not on other people. And so you have to decide whether you want to be a loser or a winner. And I'm just being real with you. What this looks like in reality, and maybe for you in 2025, will be like this. First, you look like an idiot to everyone else while you try to figure it out. Then, everyone else looks like an idiot for ever doubting you.
seasons. There's a hell of a lot more to you than you think, like way more. Enough to cope with the trouble of the world inside you. There's enough to cope with the trouble of the world. And you, if you had enough courage, you could let that out. Enough courage and faith, you could let that out, and everything would be better because of it. Really, really. And so that's a good story, and it's also true. And so I'm trying to tell that story.
And so everyone takes a different amount of years to stop giving a fuck about what everyone else thinks. And if you're going to get there eventually, you might as well start today and enjoy the benefits longer.
Always be willing to be stronger than your strongest excuse. And also, always be willing to extend a level of grace to others and yourself. I think one of the toughest things for us as people, in terms of the realm of forgiveness, is sometimes forgiving ourselves, right? For our shortcomings and the mistakes that we may have made along the journey.
I also think that God is pleased with you when you show him the beauty of his creation. I think that God is pleased with you when you work as hard as you possibly can and you do the best you can in anything you're going to attempt. God loves people who work hard and try hard. And in my own personal life, I can see that God is very happy with me when I give it 100%. And very few people give anything 100% anymore. It's very rare you meet somebody and if they're honest with themselves and with you and with God, say, I gave it everything I had. They gave it some, they tried a bit, they got demotivated, they got distracted, they got tempted. But when you truly give your 100% to something, I think that makes God very happy with you. And I think he rewards us for that.
Most people don't know where they're going because they never have a goal. You need to have a clear goal. If you don't have a goal, you don't know where you're going to go in life. If I ask you today, what's your financial goal for this year, for the next 5 years, for the next 10 years? Would you be able to answer? Would you be able to say, yeah, this is my goal? And I'm not talking about how many millions of dollars you want to have. I'm talking about the positioning. You need to be able to be very specific about the life that you want, about who you want to become. Mindset, your ability to develop thoughts is extremely important because your thoughts dictate and create your reality. Thoughts lead to actions, actions lead to behaviors, and behavior leads to lifestyle.
You don't know where you are, you don't know what to do. Start moving in some direction, and that'll give you some clues or some indication or some immediate feedback about where you are, and you can start assembling a better picture of what's happening.
A lot of self-work can be summarized into thoughts aren't true, feelings don't require actions, things aren't good or bad, they just are. Our greatest enemy is ignorance. To change your life, change your surroundings. Our actions, not our pasts, define who we are.
And you might have 9 failures. I feel my first 9 businesses didn't really amount to anything. 9. As in the first one, spent time, fucking failed. Second one, this one will be different, fucking failed. Third one, this is the one. And then 6 more after that, right? I'm just painting this picture because like, it's painful as shit because the whole time everyone is telling you, I told you so, and they're right. Today. But not forever.